Hey guys, it's Crossroads here. Today I wanted to talk about HIMS. It's a stock that is fairly recent to our portfolio, up over 100% year to date. It is just flying up, and I want to get into why. Now, some have said HIMS really hasn't had any news and it went up over 20% today. Let me just take a look at that chart with you. It's just absolutely incredible. So today we're up 27.71%. Over the last 5 days, 42%. Over the month, 128%. And year to date, 134%, which is absolutely wild. I think my largest buy was around 27. Not largest buy, latest buy with some funds that came into my account in early January. And I felt like, hey, it's maybe not the best price, but man, that's up 112% as well. And that's my worst buy. Plan to take some gains here. HIMS has not reported earnings yet. That does that in a couple of weeks. But I think that there is an underlying reason why. Well, first, I think HIMS was undervalued. Anyway, it's growing nearly 100% year over year, just like recently reported Robinhood. This is a company that is positioned well to be a leader in this space. And I think the market actually woke up and realized it. There's always been negative headlines and things that kind of slow HIMS as far as the stock. And I'm sure that there will be as well. I don't think this is the last time we've seen the 40s, much less the 30s. But right now, we're looking at maybe 60s, all-time high right now at 58.75. Currently, it was at 59 before. So what's going on? Why the price momentum? Well, first is the Super Bowl commercial. Of course, Super Bowl ran. It was the most watched Super Bowl of all time. Not a huge surprise there. And HIMS ran a 1 minute long commercial. Now, actually, let me give you a little bit of a backstory on this. Tevis did an excellent video on this, but basically, Big Pharma tried to take down the commercial before it even launched, and they did so using some really spurious reasoning. It basically just shows the fear that Big Pharma had towards HIMS itself, just because they see they're such a disruptor in the place. Believe me, it's not because Big Pharma is worried about people's individual health. No. So the ad ran. It was well received. There was some controversy, but not in a bad way. It just had the ad bit talked about more. HIMS and Hers sees a 650% spike in traffic following Super Bowl ad as clash over compounded GLP-1s heats up. So fantastic web traffic. Now, we also looked at the iPhone, the App Store, and you can see HIMS is at number 12 here. Earlier in the week, we saw Hers at number 2 and HIMS at number 4 for free apps in the medical category. HIMS is usually around 12th as well. So there's a massive, massive spike in people actually checking out the platform. Now, not all of the people that went on the website would actually become consumers, but the ad worked well. And EDO is a platform that actually looks at engagement from Super Bowl commercials. And so they rank them not in terms of what was the most popular or anything like that, but impressions. And we can see here HIMS actually landed at number 5 on their chart. They had almost 8 times as much engagement as the average Super Bowl commercial that aired. A lot of traffic, a lot of engagement, a lot of brand recognition. That's exactly what they wanted. And so this really positioned HIMS very well. They're going to report earnings. It's going to be likely very good. It doesn't hurt also that January is weight loss season. I saw on HIMS website that even before it was 2025, they had a lot of very targeted articles about 2025 weight loss and HIMS compared to other different solutions that are out there. Some people have criticized HIMS and said, oh, it's all pills and everything. It's no. Actually try it out. Not the product necessarily, but go on the platform, check it out. They talk about improving sleep habits. They talk about dieting. They have nutrition line as well. I don't use any HIMS products personally. Maybe I'll use some weight loss in the future. We'll see. But regardless, they've had a massive impact from the Super Bowl commercial. It's very likely that they continue to accelerate, even as they're still able to compound the GLP-1 formulas, at least for the time being. So that is catalyst number 1, I think, why the stock is going up so much. Now, number 2 is just a short piece, but we talked about it when he was mentioned as a possible lead. Well, today, Senate confirms RFK Jr. as Health and Human Services Secretary. Now, what does this mean for HIMS? Well, initially, when I was doing some research, I'm like, oh, man, I think that RFK Jr. might be bearish towards a company like HIMS. And actually, that's not the case at all. He shows some skepticism towards an over-reliance of medication and has shown some criticisms towards GLP-1 solutions. But really, he's attacking the idea of a one-size-fits-all, that a pill cures everything. I don't think that's the angle that HIMS is playing at. I don't personally believe that either. And RFK certainly doesn't. RFK is very antagonistic, though, towards big pharma. So if anything, this is neutral for HIMS, but it could also be pretty bullish. It could lead to some more opportunities for them to compound, just because RFK doesn't like big pharma. And we'll see how that actually plays out. At some point, the compounding revenue will end, but they're still growing over 40% year over year just from their own products. Now, the last catalyst, and the reason why I think HIMS is coming up, is because of short interest. Yes, I said short interest. Now, I'm not in HIMS for a short squeeze or anything like that. But the bottom reality is, we can see here that their short interest, they're short 58 million shares. That's about 30% of the float of a company that is profitable, buying back shares, led very well, growing nearly 100% year over year, and has a lot of catalysts and things going for it. I think it has a differentiated moat personally. We can see here the short interest ratio being tracked on FinViz, and we can see 32.94% as of January 31st. Keep in mind, this is a lagging indicator, but it kind of surprised me when this number was posted, simply because usually when you see short interest actually going up, and let me zoom that in so you can see it a bit better, but you can see the short interest has been going up even as the price action has been going up. That usually doesn't happen for long, and something has to break, and boy, did it ever break. Going back to the price action over the last month, you can just see it's been an unrelenting tear. And I think today, this 27.71% was really about shorts capitulating. Now, again, I'm not in this for a short squeeze. I've been in stocks that have squeezed before, but when a stock is highly, highly shorted, at some point, based on just price action, also catalyst too, some tend to say, you know what, this is not worth the risk. It's not worth losing my yachts, my big fleet of yachts, or my mansion. And so as a result, they say, you know what, I'm going to get out, especially before something that could be a further catalyst, which is earnings themselves. Anthony Dudum does guide very aggressively. The company grows and is positioned very, very well. They're not messing around. And I think many of the short people that were in this stock for that reason, to make maybe a quick buck once the compounding solution dried up, they're gone for now. Now, we won't see that for a little bit. At the end of the month, that's when we'll actually see the February 15th numbers. So it'll be some time before we have a confirmation of that. It wouldn't surprise me to see short interest down to, maybe between 20 and 25%. Still very high, and they could also come back too. Now, what do I think that it would take for shorts to really come back? Well, particularly a weak quarter, or where they show some kind of vulnerability. Perhaps that's through guidance. It could be when there's a lot of headlines circulating around semaglutide going off the shortage list for the FDA, which is inevitable. It will absolutely happen. It will make comps a lot more difficult for HIMS over that next year, but it doesn't stop the bull case of this company at all. Nevertheless, shorts oftentimes are in it just for a trade too, and they may come pouring back at a certain point. But I think for now, between the Super Bowl ad, adding a lot of clicks and likely generating a lot of additional revenue for HIMS, which I believe will pay off in the long term, along with RFK's confirmation and a very likely short squeeze, that's one of the reasons why HIMS is moving at such a ridiculous amount. Now, for myself, full disclosure, sold covered calls. All of them are underwater. Now, some of those I'm going to exit and take profits on and use some of that profit to get out of the painful position of the covered calls. I was going to take profits at this point anyway, so I was fine with that. But it ran even harder than myself as a bull, thinking that it would be a very good January and February, for that matter, expected. So that's where I'm at right now. Haven't enjoyed all of these gains because of my covered calls. And this stock, I think, could continue to fly. But again, I'm not in it for like making a short-term buck and just that's it. Instead, I want to just make sure that I retain at least a good chunk of my position, even while taking a little bit of a profit. Doesn't hurt you to take a profit. You do you. Let me know what you think in the comments. Are you adding to your HIMS position? Are you considering it for the first time just based on this silly, ridiculous price action? Are you taking some gains or maybe even all the gains off the table? Or is there another catalyst that I'm missing? I'd love to hear that in the comments. As always, thank you guys so much from the bottom of my heart for watching, commenting, and subscribing. This has been a fun year, and I think there's more to come. For now, happy investing.